There it is, Handshake Gate, the controversy that has become one of the silliest that I can ever remember, but I'm grateful for it because it's given us plenty of things to talk about today. Richard Sherman claims that he was snubbed by Baker Mayfield. The indisputable visual evidence clearly and obviously proves otherwise. We'll hear from Baker Mayfield today. Maybe we'll hear from Richard Sherman either on Twitter or in the locker room in San Francisco. But that has inspired, Chris, our Wednesday PFT Live draft. And the question is this, the dumbest NFL controversy of all time. And look, it can go a lot of different ways. I guess you have a trivia question for me because they didn't send me one first. So that must mean that you're asking me and I'll probably get it wrong.
Well, yes, I am asking you, and I hope you get it wrong. You talked with Dak Prescott yesterday. Only one QB has more TD passes than him right now. Who is it?
Patrick Mahomes.
Man.
Where's the sound? I like the sound effect better than yours. Who is it?
It is a Russell Wilson. You should have known that.
He's got 12. He's got 12 touchdown passes. That's right. 12 touchdown passes.
Dummy.
I'm surprised Mahomes doesn't have more.
You dummy. Okay, here we go. All right. Dumbest NFL controversies. Okay, well, I mean, I got to start off with Nipplegate, okay? You remember that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course you would.
Well, of course.
Of course you would.
Gosh, it's the Super Bowl, and it was one of the greatest games, really one of the better Super Bowls we've ever seen. The Carolina Panthers, New England Patriots. Brady drove them down to kick the game-winning field goal. But a lot of the talk and the controversy was about the halftime show because of the wardrobe malfunction. Justin Timberlake ripping off the I don't know, breastplate, whatever it may be, whatever was there to cover Janet Jackson.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
Okay. She ripped off the clothes. And, of course, there was a wardrobe malfunction there. So that, to me, was up there with one of the weirdest, dumbest controversies we've had that I can remember.
That was back in 2003. PFT had been around for a couple of years at that point. And that was one that lingered for a few days. Because, look, it wasn't a wardrobe malfunction. That was planned. When it got the reaction that it did, then they came up with a BS explanation after the fact. But that was a big deal at the time. It kind of overshadowed what was a really good Super Bowl number 2 win for the Patriots and the first of 2 in a row. So that's not a bad one. That wasn't on my list. I don't know, but you weren't even in the NFL when that happened, right? You got drafted a couple of months after that.
Yeah, no, that was my rookie year. So I'm trying to think. Was I
2002?
You're right.
No, 2003.
Yeah,
it was the 2003 Super Bowl. That was your rookie year.
That was my rookie year.
All right. For me, here's one, and this relates to the Super Bowl and it relates to the New England Patriots. It is Spygate not 1, but Spygate 2. The allegation that emerged in the Boston Herald on the Friday before Super Bowl 42 that the Patriots had secretly videotaped the walkthrough practice prior to Super Bowl 36 of the then St. Louis Rams. It was ultimately debunked. It was ultimately retracted. But it did, and the Patriots have never made this excuse. I think it created enough of a distraction because the NFL mobilized that day to investigate this thing as the Patriots are getting ready to play the Giants in the Super Bowl. It did knock them off of their axis just enough, I think, to contribute to what happened on Sunday against the Giants. And it was a huge controversy. Remember Matt Walsh, the former employee who had been talking about things the Patriots had done, and then this report comes out about Spygate 2 from the Boston Herald. And again, look, the thing is, there's always going to be suspicion about the Patriots because they've been caught at least once red-handed. Deflategate's a different story altogether in my mind. But it was never substantiated. It was never proven. But it consumed everything we thought about and talked about going into Super Bowl 42.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a big story. You're right about that. Yeah, it's an unfortunate because you're right. There's nothing ever there substantial to kind of verify it. But because it was the Patriots and there was some history there, it seemed like people kind of just ran with the story. So, okay, not a bad one by you. I I'm going to whoop your butt today, though. I think I got you beat. Okay.
All right, what else do you got?
Here we go.
Let's go.
How about Jim Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz and Handshake Gate, okay? That was a good one. You know, I don't like Jim Harbaugh. I love John Harbaugh. I really do, and I root for him. He's one of my favorite coaches in football. His brother Jim, however, I root for Ohio State until he leaves Michigan. And
why don't you like Jim?
Because he's a jerk and he was disrespectful. And one of my first interviews I ever did.
Did he not shake your hand?
I know. He did worse than that. I asked him a question in one of my first interviews I've ever done in the business, and I asked him about Colin Kaepernick's contract situation, the third question I ever asked him, and he took off his mic and said, "Tell your dad I said hello," and walked away, let alone 100 other jerk stories I know about him. So it's all of that combined. But either way, this was like, evidence one. I mean, first of all, untucking it, acting like a fool as he's going out in the middle of the field because he wants to rub it on Jim Schwartz. Then he handshakes him really hard, kind of hits him hard on the back. Just a meathead buffoon move. And then he's going to tell him to get out of his face. Jim Schwartz had every way to react the way he did. That was a jerk move by Jim Harbaugh. And it was fun and dumb and everything.
There's a backstory to this, though.
Yeah.
And as I understand
you
know the backstory?
Yeah. Well, Jim Schwartz said it was going to be hard on a strike season to get your team ready. How dare he make a point like that? Oh, my gosh. That was so demeaning to Jim.
My understanding is Schwartz was going on and on about how basically, it's your first year as coach of the 49ers. The lockout has wiped out. The offseason training camp is going to be tougher. It's going to be hard to get up to speed. You don't expect to do anything. It's just basically a wasted season.
Right.
And Jim Harbaugh sat there seething the entire time. So he beats the Lions and, he kind of gave him the business. Hey, Jim was excited, right? Jim should have calmed down a little bit more, but Schwartz is the one that came at him. And Bob Lang, the 49ers PR guy, got in the middle of it. It involves the 49ers. Another handshake incident involving the 49ers 8 years after Schwartz versus Harbaugh. All right, the next one for me, and you know what? I'm going to go there. I think the bounty scandal from 2012 was one of the silliest and dumbest controversies of all time because of the fact that everyone was doing what the Saints were doing. And Greg Williams had done what he had done in New Orleans everywhere he had been.
Right.
And the NFL wanted to, and think about what was going on at the time. The NFL was being very sensitive to the issue of concussions. Lawsuits were being filed. Nobody knew how those were going to play out. And I think the NFL wanted to create the impression that they are very serious about player health and safety. So we've got this controversy we can turn into something that almost was sold as another Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan type thing, like somebody's waiting out in the parking lot. There's a bounty on this guy, like there's a contract out on him. No, these are guys who are supposed to be playing within the rules of the game, and if they play sufficiently aggressively within the rules of the game and the opponent is rendered unable to continue because of the physical force that is applied while utilizing a clean legal hit, you get $200, $300, $500, whatever.
Right.
The thing is, everybody was doing it, and the NFL tried to implement a culture change, just like when steroids were finally eradicated by the NFL. You didn't pick one team and destroy them when everyone was doing it. You take it slowly. You put everyone on notice that times are changing. But they wanted to find one team to hammer. They hammered the Saints. Everyone was doing it, and it really stigmatized an organization unnecessarily. And I think it took them several years to recover from that. I mean, they may be on Super Bowl 3, 4, or 5 right now if the 2012 season isn't turned upside down by this decision to single out the Saints for something that everyone was doing.
Well, it definitely hurt them. I mean, gosh, it was, Greg Williams, controversy, distraction. Sean Payton, that was the same year he got suspended for the year as well, right? Am I correct with that, right? I mean, yeah.
Payton was suspended. Yeah. Williams was suspended. They lost draft picks. I mean, I just think 2012, it was a totally lost season for the Saints, and it took at least their defense 3 years to recover from it.
Yeah, well, it took away their most valuable person in their organization, and that's Sean Payton. I mean, it's like, we took Bill Belichick away from the Patriots. Well, yeah, I would expect them to kind of fall apart. I mean, that's what happened. Yeah, Sean Payton's special. He's the best coach in the building. He's one of the best coaches we've seen in NFL history, really. So, I'm with you too, Mike, and it was going going on a lot of teams in the NFL, and it wasn't meant for, like, we're putting a bounty on to legitimately hurt somebody and knock them out of the game and ruin their life forever. No, it was just ways to motivate guys, have fun, camaraderie in the locker room. So I'm with you there. Okay, I'm going to go with Elvis Dumervil fax machine mistake, if you remember that, right? I think it was a 2013 offseason. Elvis Dumervil, the Denver Broncos. I love Elvis Dumervil. This is not his fault. I was a teammate with him in Denver at one point. But his agent obviously messed up. What an idiot that guy is, okay? But taking a pay cut from $12 million to $8 million, they try to fax in the signed contract by Elvis Dumervil. It gets there 6 minutes late after the league deadline. It doesn't count. So then Elvis Dumervil becomes a free agent. It ultimately works out better for him because he gets to sign a long-term contract with the Baltimore Ravens. But either way, that had to be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. The fact that the agent made Elvis Dumervil have to go to a Kinko's and fax it to the Denver Broncos is some of the craziest crap I've ever heard.
Well, and look, that it's an example, and whether it's football or anything else, when you dance with that ultimate deadline, sometimes you're going to run out of time. And they waited up until that last moment. They negotiated a new contract, and it all fell apart, and the Broncos had to cut him because – and there was a sense that maybe it was some deliberate foot-dragging by the agent in the hopes the Broncos would blow the deadline and keep Elvis Dumervil because there was either a big payment due or a big guarantee that was going to come due. And the Broncos said, sorry, we're not doing this. We're ripping up this contract. So I think there was an element of – this is just speculation, but there may have been an element of, hey, let's hope we can accidentally get the Broncos to not terminate the contract and keep the contract and kick in what's a better deal for Elvis Dumervil. All right, last one from me. And I'm surprised this one lasted so long. It's the Antonio Brown helmet game.
I know. I didn't want to go there.
Well, but here's why. We were led to believe that this really was about whether or not he can function in a different helmet. It's all baloney. It's all BS. It was either attention or he didn't want to practice or he just didn't like being told no. Because the moment that Zenith yanked its sponsorship, he slapped on a different helmet with no questions asked whatsoever. Because remember, it was after he gave up his helmet for good. Zenith did a deal with Antonio Brown. They made a big deal about it. A week later, that deal was over. He started wearing a different helmet. He wore it for one game, and now he's gone.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.